Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of Don't Sleep on the Eagles. It's your boy Kash, aka Exec P. Don't Sleep on the Eagles is just a fan-fared event. We're part of Don't Sleep Network, so make sure you subscribe to Don't Sleep on the Eagles. And then when you're done doing that, if you want some sports and music, make sure you go subscribe to Don't Sleep on the Couch podcast, where my co-host and I, Mr. Perez, talk about music each and every week. We bring independent artists on, hip-hop primarily. We're looking to get more into R&B and all sorts of music as we venture out. We have entrepreneurs. We have people in the music space, like engineers, like producers doing their thing. So we show you all sides of the music each and every week on Tuesday, and we drop bonus episodes on Patreon. But for right now, got two teams. You really don't know where each team is heading. I got a little bit for you up ahead of the show in regards to some things that I'm looking at from a fan perspective. But of course, teams are 4-4. 2 in a row. The Chargers have lost, and the Eagles are riding high off a Detroit Lions win, albeit this was a win that we expected down in Detroit, but it was a lot to build off of. And you never can discount any team in the NFL, no matter how bad they're playing. If you're clicking on all cylinders, and as a fan, and you're losing as well, you got to take what you got to take. So we're riding high, fresh off the heels of that win. So you got two different teams coming in, heading in different directions. And right now, I don't know how to feel about this game. I felt great about a lot of teams coming into the link and our ability to play them pretty close. We just haven't had the opportunities to win these games at the link. So with that said, I won't waste you guys' time. I'll get right into some of the things that I'm looking into. So first off, the Los Angeles Chargers have a very bad cornerback situation. Both of their top two corners might be out. That hasn't come out on the injury report quite yet, but these guys are going to be hurt if they actually make it to the game. So with that said, I want the team to focus in that area, but not too much. As you can see here, the cornerback situation is one of those things to where it might be fool's gold for us. And I want us to attack them, but I want it to be not so much that we do not rely on the run game that got us going last week. I don't want to see Hurts dropping back for 35 to 40 times, passing the ball or RPO. Just last week, what we did was good old-fashioned hand the ball off and let the rest work itself out. If you look at the Los Angeles Chargers, one of their points of emphasis, or one of our points of emphasis is to run the ball, because they're one of the worst in the league at defending the run, similar to us. But we've cleaned it up over the last couple of weeks, but there's something to be had on that side of the ball. And also, as we'll get into later, we have to keep Justin Herbert off the field. He hasn't been playing his best as of late, but we have to keep him guessing. We have to keep him on his heels. But more importantly, we have to keep him off the field. If we keep him off the field with a kid like that who can sling the rock, Keenan Allen, I just don't want our corners that have to be in that type of game. You know what I mean? As you could tell, Slay doesn't follow the best receivers. If you watch the game, he doesn't follow the best receivers all over the field unless we adjust in the second half, which we have done in games, but that's not the base of our defense. So with that said, I really want to contain Keenan Allen. So I want to get this team into a lot of second and longs, third and longs. And also when we get into those second and longs and third and longs, I want to be able to get off the field, because in the past, these 3rd and 13s, 15s, we're letting teams kill us. So in order for our defense to be great, our run game has to be great. The more and more you put a defense on that field, in particular, our defense, it's going to be bad. It's going to be bad. But another thing that is a key to this game is the defensive line. If the defensive line can get home, which they should, because a lot of teams have been playing that Tampa 2 on Justin Herbert, and it's been kind of affecting him, kind of like Patty Holmes. And if we can continue to do that, then by all means continue to attack their O-line. Like, the Chargers don't have a really good O-line, and that's where we excel. Look at Josh Sweat. He had two and a half sacks last week. You know what I mean? And right now he's playing like he's worth every penny that we gave him. You know what I mean? So with him attacking the same exact position that we attacked in the Lions last week on the offensive line, I think we'll be golden. But we have to get home. I mean, any good defensive line protects a fairly decent cornerback core that we have on the Eagles. I'm not saying that we're world beaters, but I can guarantee Slay is going to do what he needs to do. But Nelson, on the other hand, he's susceptible to balls going over his head or giving up what's in front of him when we play that soft coverage. So I'm definitely looking forward to what our defensive line does to keep that internal clock sped up in Justin Herbert. Next thing I'm looking at, consistency. Look, I know we're one game out of the playoffs, and I'm starting to hear a lot of Eagles Nation get excited about the playoffs and what we can possibly do with getting in that 7 seed. Look, let's just focus on one game at a time. We can't look ahead. We're not that good to be looking ahead. At this point, past the trade deadline, no major moves were made. That, as far as what Howie Roseman is known for making splash moves, because right now I think isn't the time. But what the time is for consistency, seeing who is going to ball out, seeing who's going to be guys that we keep in the future, who we're going to let go. I mean, as you already know, there's a lot of guys on our team. Fletcher Cox, he made the cut. There was talks of him being let go, but ultimately he wasn't. So, who the guys that back up Fletcher Cox. I mean, he's getting older, and he'll probably be inducted into the Eagles Ring of Honor and all that good stuff. But you got to know when it's time to move on. And it may be time to move on next season. So who's next up? Derek Barnett, another one. He may be not worth the money. He may come back, but at the price he may be looking at, we're not going to do it. And that's all I read from the tea leaves as I read the articles, just like you fans. So yeah, consistency. Who can be the guy? Jalen Hurts is playing for his job, quite frankly. He's absolutely paying for his job. And what he does each and every week, whether he runs the offense to perfection or he just gets us wins, is really going to dictate his future. So I'm rooting for the guy. I don't want to spend any of our picks in the first round should those picks ultimately fall to us and where we think it's going to be, because the Colts are kind of up and down. But the thing is, my point is, I would like to see him do well. I'm not rooting for him to do bad and then bring in another rookie and have to wait another rebuilding process. I mean, you're not going to get a Justin Herbert. You're not going to get a Lamar Jackson, a Patty Holmes. Like, those type of guys don't come in every draft. And also, I think as NFL fans, we're getting spoiled with some of these guys that come out of college and have instant impact. At best, you can wish that these guys are middle of the tier, mediocre, and that they do their best and not setting your franchise back, and you can build around them. I mean, you think like your man in the Vikings, like the quarterback for the Vikings, he's really good, but when the lights are bright, he doesn't perform well. So he can get you through a whole season, possibly even get you into the playoffs. But what is he going to do when the lights shine bright? And I think that the lights haven't shined bright on Jalen Hurts quite yet. So what can he do? Can he get us in the playoffs? If he gets us in the playoffs, there'll be a lot of people on his side for keeping him and continuing to build around him. You never know. I mean, it may be just like another McNabb situation. I know, being a Philly fan for as long as I've been, like during that McNabb era, even though he was probably the cream of the crop in the quarterback class when he was drafted, that our fan base, man, we were really, really, really bad on him the entire time, and rightfully so. We expect a certain level of production, which he gave us, but we were never quite satisfied with him being the guy, and we were always looking for ways to get rid of him until eventually he earned his position and they were able to build around him. Not necessarily the way we wanted him to be built around, but those talks went away And I think that Jalen Hurts can be in the same situation to where if he makes the playoffs this year, those talks may quiet and they may build around him. So that leads me on to the other quarterback that we're facing, Justin Herbert. Earlier I said we need to speed up his clock. We need to make him feel like he's off balance. You know what I mean? We don't need to be predictable. We don't need to play that soft coverage. We need to basically not trick this young quarterback, but make him think each and every time, mixing it up with a good amount of pressure, blitz, and or showing that we're going to blitz and falling back into coverage. Those are things that just have to happen with a quarterback of his caliber. And as young as he is, being able to pick apart a defense, we cannot rely on our corners or our linebackers to stop him all game. So when I say we need to have them in 3rd and longs and get off the field, I mean that, because once he starts picking up 3rd and longs, 2nd and longs, and we continue to give those up, the confidence is going to build throughout the game. And you cannot give a guy like that confidence. So keeping him guessing, that's just the key. Keeping him guessing and keeping him off the field. Can we do that? I don't know. But last but not least, can this team get a home win? Can this team get our first home win of the season? Like, the fans need that. I'm not in Philly. I'm all the way out in Germany, stationed in Germany. I watch the team, and damn it, man, like home field needs to be somewhat of a factor. Teams need to be mildly concerned with those fans and what that team does. If that team plays a little bit better, like I think the fans deserve that. So can we get our first home win? I mean, you got the Chargers coming all the way from LA to Philly. So will that matter with playing a game 3 hours early? I don't know. And back in the day, I used to feel like that mattered, but right now I think teams are too damn good and teams plan ahead. I mean, I think they're probably in Philly by Thursday, just getting acclimated to the time. So, that's really where I'm at with that. But we definitely need our first win of the season at home, and I think we can continue to build. I mean, we got 2 games against the Redskins, 2 games against the Giants, and we got another game against the Cowboys, who are light years ahead of us. Yes, I said it, Eagles fans. They are light years ahead of us right now in terms of what they're doing with their team. So, but again, in the division, anything is possible late in the season. You never know what can happen. But I definitely think that those 4 wins, we can't put those as a definite thing within a division, because you have to respect those division foes. However, that's 5 games right there we can possibly win, and this latter half of the season gets a little bit easier. I mean, the first part was brutal. And we kept into certain games. Tampa Bay game, the Dallas game got out of hand really quickly. So, I'm encouraged, but with this team week to week, like I said earlier, consistency, I don't know what to expect. I have no idea what to expect. You have a first-year coach, offensive line, OC and DC and Gannon. Like, you just don't know what these guys are going to do week to week. And the consistency. I love what happened in Detroit. We didn't take that game for granted. We didn't take that team for granted. Who were we to take that team for granted? You know what I mean? We were coming in with 2 wins. You know what I mean? So we had to play well. With that said, hope we get our first home win. Hope we continue to prove that we're going to be, like I expected, a middle-of-the-road team. And all you have to do is just win. Get into the playoffs and see if you could disrupt a few things. That's all we need to do to build upon this season. You know what I mean? The team, the GM, owner on down, they'll go all in, and this team, similar to after the Super Bowl year, we got in the next 2 years into the playoffs, and I didn't expect it. I mean, we had up and down seasons, but we got there and we played pretty well when we got into playoffs after our Super Bowl win. So that's kind of what I'm looking towards as far as these guys learning in the spotlight. So with that said, I'm Kash. Follow Don't Sleep on the Eagles at Don't Sleep Net. Sorry, Don't Sleep _net on Twitter and Instagram. Make sure you go download our podcast wherever you listen to your favorite podcast, Apple, Spotify, Google Podcasts. You can find us everywhere. So my final prediction for this game, it's going to be a shootout in my opinion. I got 28-24 Eagles. 28-24 Eagles. Make sure you start our running back core if you play fantasy football. Again, with that said, I'm Kash, a.k.a. Exec P. I'm out. This is Don't Sleep on the Eagles. Download. Let us know how we're doing. And with that said, I'm out.